So when your relationship is being through a rough patch and you start to get that weird feeling in your stomach, like something's going to change, and maybe your partner is starting to look for the exit door, it can be really easy to go into a panic mode, starting to read the tea leaves as to whether she's on her way out, whether she's staying, whether she's having an affair. We can get ourselves into this rumination and overthinking. But when we get into this mode, this can bring a lot of problems. So in this video, I'm going to break down the signs that your partner is looking to break up with you, some of the biggest mistakes to avoid during this time, and what you can do to start to save the relationship. Now, just before I start with all of these, I want to make it very, very clear that just because these are signs that your partner is maybe preparing to break up with you or ask for a divorce or separation, I don't want you to assume that seeing one of these things, click stop on the video and filed for divorce yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I want you to stay tuned and pay attention to what I'm going to say after all of these things before you jump ahead and decide that the relationship is already over. So the first sign that your partner is looking to maybe break up with you is they start avoiding you. They start avoiding the relationship, or they start avoiding conversations. This is because there's what we call low emotional safety. Now, I've done a deeper dive video on emotional safety, which I'll link to up above and in the description down below. But emotional safety is the environment to be able to talk about your feelings without negative consequences. So if your partner's avoiding you or avoiding any sort of relationship kind of activities or conversations with you, then it's because they're starting to feel hopeless. They've started to formulate an opinion that talking about the relationship, talking with you, is kind of hopeless. And this hopelessness usually comes at the end of a long period of arguments. Now, sometimes this avoidance of the relationship, of conversations, can actually be seen as a good sign. It can be seen as arguments finally being resolved. You know, you could look at them and say, well, we're not arguing anymore, so things are good. And maybe when your partner does see you, they're in a good mood. But this can lull you into a false sense of security that your partner is absolutely fine with the way things are. So keep an eye out for this avoidance. And this can be a sign that they're 1 foot out the door. Next is what we call roommate syndrome. And again, I've done a deeper dive video on this, which I'll link to above and in the description, or having low intimacy. So low intimacy, no talk of the future, no stimulation, no growth within the relationship. This can be a big dry spell within the relationship. This can be a sign when your partner is starting to feel understimulated, like there's no real future for the relationship. And this can feel like you're kind of passing ships in the night. You know, you're just going through your routines. There's no real physical intimacy. There's no real sex. There's no kissing, hand holding. It's just going through the motions day after day. And this is what we call roommate syndrome. And this is ultimately where physical intimacy is at an all-time low. You're two roommates. You are just both paying money towards the rent or mortgage. You're sat there watching the same shows. You're going about your daily routines, and there's no real growth within the relationship. It's just stagnant. This can be a sign that your partner is starting to feel like there's no room in the relationship to grow. There's no real endpoint. There's no goal. There's no achieving things together. This is maybe as good as it gets. And this can be a sign that your partner is feeling like they want to be out. Another sign is that they're always busy or they're being very secretive. Now, oftentimes people's mind jumps to infidelity. So always being busy or secretive doesn't necessarily mean that they're cheating on you. And again, I've done a deeper dive video on why people cheat, which is there's a lot of misconceptions around that, which I'll link to in the description. But always being busy or always being secretive is not necessarily a sign of infidelity. But this is a buildup of discords. You know, if they felt controlled in the past or there's been a lot of arguments and miscommunications, they can start to reprioritize themselves. So they can start to see their friends more. They can start to spend more time in work and their career. They can take the focus away from the relationship, but at the same time, not really want to talk to you about this. So this can build this secretive sort of persona that can cause people to panic. So this can be a sign that they're wanting to have a bit more autonomy away from the relationship. Another sign is being unwilling to work on the relationship or any conflicts. You know, there can be a flat out refusal to talk about the relationship problems anymore. And this can come in many different ways. They can still be talking with you, spending all their time with you, even be intimate, but they refuse to have any conversations about the future of the relationship or overcoming any conflicts. This is this hopelessness feeling again, where they realize that talking about things is not going to solve anything. So this is refusing to talk about any of the issues within the relationship anymore. And this can be because they, again, are checked out. They're having 1 foot out the door. And another huge sign that your partner is on the way to being checked out is that they don't really seem to care about your feelings. Now, this can hurt in the moment. And there's many, many different reasons for this. But ultimately, this is them feeling the need to prioritize themselves. So they maybe feel exhausted. They maybe feel like they poured so much into the relationship and they simply don't have the emotional space to be able to talk about your feelings again. This can also be that they've heard your feelings many, many times over and over. And this has caused part of the conflicts within the relationship, is that you've given everything. And now it's just repeating the same things over and over again and nothing is getting solved. So if your partner is not seeming to care about your feelings right now, this can be because they are starting to prioritize their own needs, their own self-preservation outside of the relationship. Maybe getting themselves ready to start to look elsewhere, look outside of the relationship because it's become an emotional drain on them. And just before I move forward, if you do want more videos like this, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos on repairing, building, and growing healthy relationships every single week. So does this mean it's over? You know, the main question that happens when all of these signs start to appear is this it? If they're going to break up with me, is that it forever? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. And it's really crucial to understand that when a partner is feeling hopeless within the relationship, it means that things cannot carry on the way that they have been. And this is one of the most crucial things to realize when it comes to relationships, is that your partner may be speaking about breakup. They may bring the subject of breaking up. They may even hand you divorce papers or separation. And it's really important to recognize and accept this current status of affairs. You can't force your way into a relationship. You can't force someone to stay in a relationship with you, nor should you pressure them. It means that this direction of the relationship, the way things have been going historically up to this point, feels hopeless. If your partner cannot see the future of the relationship. Now, does this mean that you immediately throw everything up in the air, flip the table, and walk out? No, but you have to accept that this version of the relationship, if your partner is asking for this, is done and dusted. And the way that you act right now is really, really important. The steps that you take, the way that you show up in this moment is going to be very important to your partner as to how you rebuild a potential new relationship with them. Now, a lot of people can fall into many toxic and kind of manipulative ways of trying to stop their partner from filing for divorce, for asking for separation, for wanting to break up. Can go into overpromising, making all these promises to change, begging, trying to beg your partner that you can't live without them, or forcefully giving them ultimatums, saying, if you even consider that you're breaking up with me, then we're done. I'm never going to speak with you again. Threatening them with taking everything they have in the divorce, attacking them personally. All of these toxic actions are going to prove your partner exactly right. It's going to prove to them that all of this hopelessness that they've been feeling and this worry about the direction of the relationship, that actually they were right to walk away. Because you've now fallen into all of these personal attacks, these manipulative tactics to try to stop them from doing something that is ultimately going to affect you. They've already started to make this decision themselves, and they've been making it for a long time. And now when push has come to shove, this panic mode that you're feeling to try to stop them from walking away from you is going to show that when times are tough and you really need to show up, that you're not up for the task. Or worse, you're going to force them into making a decision that they don't want to make, which is staying within the relationship. So again, does this mean that it's over forever? Well, no. It's very hard to make a forever decision. However, if you want any chance of repairing this relationship, your partner is saying to you right now that they need to see huge changes from you before they even consider a new relationship with you. Now, this can be hard to hear and this can be difficult to face up to, but this is the truth of what your partner is saying. So if you are causing more damage with begging and promises and needy text messages and blowing up their phone and tracking what they're doing and stalking them on social media, all of these things is going to prove to them that you're not ready to be in a healthy relationship, and actually that they're going to be right to be walking away right now. So they're going to need to see these massive changes in your behavior over a long period of time. So if you do want to maximize your chances of repairing the relationship, now is the time to start reflecting inwards as to why. They're very likely to explicitly tell you the main reasons why. But it's crucial that you don't just accept them and forget about them or make some promises. It's important to dig deep into the role that you played within the relationship and what you've caused, and take the responsibility as to the breakdown of the relationship. Now, don't get me wrong, this is difficult. This is not an easy thing to do. There is always time to start making changes to your behavior, your actions now, rather than waiting for a breakup, rather than waiting for things to get worse before you start making those changes. Now, there's an old Chinese proverb that springs to mind, which is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So even though these actions should have been taken a long time ago, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be starting them today. Taking these actions today and cultivating this today means that you'll start to see results within the next 3 to 6 months. So rather than trying to read the tea leaves on what your partner is going to do or not do, start making the changes now to start turning it around. And remembering that even if they'd start to consider this, this still may happen. This still may be in process. But this doesn't mean that you can't repair the relationship. That doesn't mean that you can't create version 2.0 of your relationship. So taking this responsibility and taking the moment to reflect back on where you could have shown it better is crucial, and being able to take that accountability yourself. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you that you'll be able to save this relationship instantly with some 30-day system, 60-day system, whatever it is. Don't fall for that. It is possible to save your relationship, but it's important to make sure that you're not falling into this panic mode and this desperation in order to try to save your relationship. The best thing you can do right now is to start to make these changes and take a reflection, take a hard look at how you could have shown it better within the relationship. Now, there can be a lot of blind spots. A lot of people think that they've wandered through the relationship with this perfect idea themselves, or they dealt with things in a good enough fashion, only to be blindsided by their partner saying, they want to break up. And unfortunately, this is how a lot of my members start, is that they've been blindsided by this breakup. And it's only through real reflection and being able to lead the relationship in the right way that they're able to turn things around and repair things in the right way. But it's crucial that you're honest with yourself before you start to try to move the relationship forward. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. And if you do want to join us, then join me on my free Relationship Bootcamp, where you're going to learn the same steps and tools that all of my members start to use to start turning their relationship around. Just click on the link in the description to grab your spot. Now, a lot of members come to me in this panic mode, but it's crucial that you take a look at the relationship from a 10,000-foot view, and you can see how things have gotten to where they are in order to be able to repair them back in the right way. Now, I've done a deeper dive into this, which I'll link to on the screen, but ultimately starting to take responsibility and leading a path forward into how you're going to show up from now on and build the second version of your relationship is really, really crucial. So I'll leave you with that video, and I will see you over there.